Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Making Sense of It All with Jesse Stakes. So this week we're going to be talking about pre-owned automobile sales. Automobiles are one of the biggest purchases that people make during their lifetime. A lot of the times for a family, it's secondary only to their home. In the last several years, pre-owned automobile sales have increased substantially because of a number of factors affecting the entire market. Just to put that last sentence into perspective, total pre-owned automobile sales topped 2.6 million units here in the United States in 2023, and that was up 2% year over year. My guest this week is Jason March. He's the general manager of a family-run auto dealership here in Jacksonville, Florida, March Motors. Jason and the March family have been serving their customers now for over 25 years and counting. And in my experience, people do business with people. When it's one of the largest purchases that you and your family are ever going to invest in, it's nice to know that the folks that you're buying from get that as much as you do. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Jason March. Let's jump right into it. For my audience, for the folks that don't know you and your family, can you share with them who you are and what you guys do?
Yeah, so I'm a Jacksonville native, born and raised in Jacksonville, went to UNF. My family owns March Motors. We are a used car dealership on Atlantic Boulevard in Jacksonville, Florida. We sell just over 1,000 cars a year, and we are excited to have a presence in the community. We sell cars around $17,000, and we've been doing it for 26 years. We started in 1998, and I'm happy to join the family business and keep that legacy going.
So I want to back up for a second because you said a really big number there. You said 1,000 cars a year that you guys are moving. That's impressive.
Yeah, not many people are selling 1,000 cars a year from one location. So we sell about 90 cars a month. Some months we do a little more, some months we do a little less, but selling 1,000 cars a month, we have to have a great team. And so a lot of our success is resting on our team's shoulders, and we've been able to assemble a great team over the last several years.
So before we jump into everything, I mean, it's a pretty cool backstory. You guys have, like you said, you guys have been in business in Jacksonville, Florida for a long time. Can you tell us a little bit about the story? Tell us a little bit about what inspired your family to start March Motors and kind of what, share with us how that even all came to be.
So a lot of dealerships are family businesses, and mine is similar. Ours is no different. My father was a car salesman in the 80s, and he worked for the new car stores, and he had the opportunity to work for a used car dealer in Jacksonville named Murray Hill Motors, and he realized that he really liked the idea of being your own boss and selling used cars. So he ventured out on his own. He did some different things. And in 98, he was fortunate to be able to rent a dealership about a mile away from where we currently are.
Okay.
Started his business. He started with his sister, a mechanic, and one other person, and it grew into a family of 50 employees now. So, we started from humble beginnings, selling $3,000 to $4,000 cars, and here we are. 26 years later, our average selling price is around $17,000. We sell up to a $30,000 pickup truck or SUV, but typically we're selling cars, minivans, SUVs, and pickup trucks between $12,000 to $20,000.
I feel like the car industry in general has changed a tremendous amount in the last, we could say 5 years, but it really is longer than that. I mean, you guys really are selling cars to middle America, to people that are blue collar folks that need transportation to and from work, that are looking for reliability and just to ensure that they can go out and earn a living for their family. Yes.
We sell a car to your plumber, to your yard man, to your roofer. These guys are, you know, the salt of the earth. A lot of our men and women that buy vehicles from us are, they're in the service industry, they're in the construction industry. So they are making this economy go round every day. And we're happy to be in a position where we can serve them.
And it's crazy to think about what new cars have gone for. I mean, when you talk about some of these big box dealerships, and you talk about whether it's just a simple work truck or you're talking about a vehicle to get to and from work, people, if they wanted to go out and buy something new in today's world, number one, it's going to cost them an arm and a leg, and number two, I hate to speak ill of anybody or anybody's product, but there are a lot of new cars right now that even the people at the dealerships will tell you they're not that reliable. They're having a lot of issues right off the line. Yes.
Uh, Man, it's funny that you bring up some of these points because I think the average sale for like something I saw recently about new car average price was around $35,000. And something that a lot of people don't think about is if you're going to finance a $35,000 vehicle, you're going to be paying for it for a while. That's going to be
Sure.
several years. So, we try to keep a short loan term here, 3 to 4 years. We feel like people still want to pay for a car in a short amount of time. We call that like a mini mortgage. It's when people have an 8-year loan.
Right.
And I think a lot of our population now is like, well, I want that. Tell me what the monthly payment is, and I'll pay it, and that's that. And, 4 or 5 years down the road, when you're only halfway through paying for that car, you're like, oh man, this car's a little old. What's my payoff? And it doesn't hit home until a few years down the road when the newness wears off.
I think you're 100% correct. And I think that sometimes, like to your point, we have this buy now, pay later attitude in this country anymore. But when you really look at, like you said, a sales price of $35,000 for somebody who has an average income in Jacksonville, like in Jacksonville, Florida, the average income for an individual is still in the 40,000s. An average income for a family's, 56,000, somewhere around there. So now you're talking about such a huge percentage of an annual income that if somebody were to go out and buy that vehicle, and if they're paying for it on a payment basis, it's still an enormous percentage of their income. So I think that I think people have, it's been well documented, and I think we can kind of talk about it here as well. But the used car market, the demand for used cars, I don't think has been any greater than what it's been in the last 3 years. Yes.
No, you're right about that. I'll tell you, I was reading an article in the Used Car Dealer magazine today, and just the availability of cars, the fact that the American fleet, if you think about all cars in the United States that are on the road as one big fleet of cars,
Mm-hmm.
that car has gotten older, that car has more miles on it, and as an average, we basically removed 2 years of, you know, vibrant new car sales. Vibrant probably is not the word. Just what we had normally had as far as new car availability was wiped out, part of 2020, most of 21, and some of 22. We saw that returning to normal last year. But when you remove 2 years of what had been a very uh, pattern, very similar cycle, very similar amounts of new cars hitting the market. My brother always likes to say it takes a new car to make a used car.
Fair.
So when you miss out on all those new cars, it really, it has lasting effects on the economy, and we're still going to be experiencing that. So yes, to your point, today we're paying more for a higher mileage car, a little older car, and it's created a different work atmosphere for us here too.
So I have a follow up to that. As you see the quality of some of these newer cars maybe not be as great as they were. So let's say, you take a 2005 to 2015 truck or something, a reliable model car versus something that is coming off the line in 2024 that, doesn't necessarily have the longevity or the staying power. Do you believe that these cars that were manufactured, say, 5 years ago and beyond, are going to continue to hold their value and continue to be in high demand because maybe somebody doesn't want what somebody's producing today in 2024?
I think the short answer to that is we have become an economy who is comfortable with disposable items more and more. So it's funny you bring up older models. We love these older Chevrolet trucks that had a very simple engine and transmission.
Yes.
Uh, the newer the newer ones have given us some headaches with some of the drivetrain issues that they have that are well documented. Um, I think it's funny that when you look at the build sheet, when you look at the options of a new car, heated seats, air conditioned seats, um, some power windows, power locks, power seats, you know, there's not a lot of difference in a 2024 model with the extras that you can get today versus what you could get in 2020, 2010, 2011.
Sure.
Now, of course, self-driving aside, um, the car hasn't changed a whole lot in the last 25 years. So you go back to 2000, you could get a Lincoln Navigator with all the bells and whistles. Now, maybe it was a little worse on miles per gallon. Maybe it had some issues with some air ride suspension, things like that. But we're still battling like what's next for the car? Tesla's done a nice job. I think every automotive conversation features Tesla nowadays, and that's like the one to beat because they've really revolutionized what has been very similar since the early 1900s. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years with the car market. A lot of people backing up on this idea that their whole lineup is going to be electric.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are backpedaling on that statement. Mercedes was the last one I saw backpedal on that statement. So, I'm a car fan. I don't have any fancy cars or collectible cars, but I just love to watch how cars change. And to your point about, the last 5 years of car manufacturing, it will be interesting to see how this newer technology. I think what we've been trying to do is lighten up the car. We've been trying to manufacture the car a little cheaper, and we've been trying to see what materials can work for the future. And each year is a little different depending on the manufacturer. Each year is a little different. Some are better than others, so we'll see.
It's funny that you bring up collectible cars and that the whole automobile industry to me as a consumer used to be a lot more fun. I remember my first car that I ever had was a 68 Mustang that me and my father rebuilt, and he bought it for $900 and, spent a lot more than that to rebuild it and paint it and do everything. But it was something that you could actually put in your garage. It was a carbureted engine. And if you had a little bit of handiness to you, if you had a little desire to learn something, it was something that you could do something with your own two hands. And I've had several different experiences all through my dad that were, we had a 73 MGB, a 1978 Datsun 280Z. I had a 97 Cobra. I've had a lot of fun cars. We took a 383 stroker engine and stuck it into an 84 IROC Camaro. And it was a lot of fun. It was something that you could do and be a part of. And it was something that families passed down generation to generation. And I feel like the car industry, to your point, it kind of feels like we're getting to this use once and throw away type of mentality, as you said, but it's taken a lot of the fun out of the automobile industry. And again, maybe you have a different perspective because you guys do it for a living, and so you guys get to be around it every day. But I wish somebody would bring some of the fun back into the automobile industry.
Yeah. My comment to that, Jesse, not something I've really thought about, but you're right. I mean, the days of pulling your own engine, fixing something and putting it back in are, I don't want to say gone, but it's much more difficult. I think YouTube has helped a lot of individuals be able to diagnose their vehicle problems, which has been a godsend because vehicles are more complicated now than they've ever been. Um, but the fun part of the vehicle, I think, is no longer geared towards people who like to tinker. I think it's almost geared towards people that like a little tech, maybe a
Right.
TV, and it's that family pastime of learning how to work on the car and change the oil and do a tune-up. Those days, I don't want to say they're behind us because there is still some of that going on, but they're definitely not as it's not what it used to be. And I don't think we're going to see people coming uh it would be kind of neat to see a manufacturer come out with um a simple car for the simple people
Oh,
that
I agree.
want to have that ability. That's funny that you say that.
I've always thought if somebody could come out with a car that's around $14,999 and they could put something simple together to where it could pass emissions, but it could also be something that is just, basic, have a radio in it, have an air conditioner, get you to and from work, I think they'd make a ton of money.
Especially with a little style. I think people these days want something unique.
No doubt.
They don't want to be the herd. They don't want to ride in a car that looks like what everybody else has. But
Maybe we have something to talk about offline. Let's switch gears here for a second. You guys are like in the market you're selling in, online has become huge. Like, I mean, you can go on eBay Motors, you can go on to a lot of these different online sites and they're selling cars online. Are you guys getting into that piece of things? Are you guys selling online as well as at your dealership?
no, we have not ventured into the fully online sale.
Mm-hmm.
I think that deserves to be. We've been selling cars online for 20 years,
Right.
using our website as a tool to get people comfortable with what they see and to come in the store. But we have not delivered a car um, through an online only experience. We're still talking with people in person. We have sold cars out of state to people, but typically that's maybe two a year, three a year, and that's still involving some phone conversations. So, it's interesting. A lot of my peers looked into doing this fully online sale. A lot of companies popped up in the last year that would help you manage that digital checkout process.
Right.
And I think what we have noted, and Vroom is a testament to this, uh, the market has interest in this, but it's not big enough to replace what is currently known as a, touching and feeling aspect.
Right.
eBay Motors is the original. They have been selling cars with online transactions for decades. They do a great job of it. Still, they used to be the most visited website for cars in the nation. That is no longer the case. And I think we're going to continue to see people, especially in the millennial and younger demographic, uh, go towards an online buying experience. But I think used cars specifically have each one is unique each previous owner was different, and it's the second largest purchase for most people. So
No
they want
doubt.
to touch it, they want to smell it, they want to see it. I noticed on the ballot this year in the state of California, they had a disclosure that they wanted to require dealers to let their next customer, their potential customer, know if the vehicle had had tobacco usage in the vehicle. So if
Hmm.
somebody had previously smoked in the vehicle, they wanted to make that a disclosure that was mandatory. So, there are things that have changed, and I think we're going to continue to see the experience for digital sales of cars become more prevalent. And Carvana, if you watch their stock, they are having a nice recovery over the last year and a half.
Sure.
So I think people are still interacting with that, and I think we're going to continue to see people become more comfortable with that.
I'm going to talk out of the other side of my mouth really quick here because I think that there's one other thing that we, as consumers, I think people have had more and more experience with online fraud. And there's an anonymity to where when you go through a whole buying process for something as large as an automobile, like you said, one of the probably the second largest purchase that you'll make as an adult, aside from your home, you're buying this online, and if you don't know who you're buying it from, if you don't have anybody to go back to in case there's an issue, in case you have questions, in case anything goes wrong with that car that you didn't inspect, well, to me, there is a personal responsibility as a consumer in the way that we choose to shop, in the way that we choose to do business. And the fact that you guys are doing business person to person, creating a relationship with those people, I think there's a tremendous value in that. And I think that that's a choice. Some people may choose to shop online, and some people may be very happy with that. But you're giving people that choice to have a personal relationship with the people that are selling them their car.
We come to work every day. We do the same thing we did 15 years ago. Um, Sometimes it's not the most exciting. Sometimes you get a car that you sold. We had a Chevy Tahoe that we sold, and 200 miles later, the transmission went out. That was 2 weeks ago. And that vehicle's here, and the transmission should be here today, and we'll be replacing that at no cost to the customer.
I think
And,
that's awesome.
but those things that when you're selling a used car, uh, those things happen no matter the brand. People want to talk about some brands are more reliable than others, and I would agree. But um, you never know. You never know the previous life of that car, how it was treated, where it was driven, um, what storm it may have been in, or what lightning may have struck that car, or what accident that car may have been in. So each car is unique, and having that face-to-face experience that you just talked about, being able to come back to a salesperson that you just spent a couple hours with, people want to make the buying experience shorter. And I don't want to spend 4 or 5 hours in a dealership, but how short should a purchase experience be for a $30,000 vehicle or $20,000 vehicle? At some point, if it's just as easy as going to the gas station and buying a Coke on the counter and walking out after you tap your card, it almost doesn't seem right that a large purchase, such as a vehicle, would only take 15 minutes.
Sure.
So I have some things to think about there. People want to be able to pick a extended service contract. People want to have wheel and tire protection, paint protection, and those things take some time to explain. And what's gap insurance, and what's vendor single interest insurance. So there's a lot that can go into buying a 40, $50,000 car, and it almost seems too short to be a 15-minute process. So,
I don't disagree. Jason, if somebody's listening to this, they hear you, they like what you have to say, they're interested in maybe doing business with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you in your family's dealership?
Yeah, email me, jason@marchmotors.com. I'm the Florida Quality Dealer of the Year this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a big honor. I'll be headed to Vegas in June for the National Quality Dealer Award. So we're excited to represent Florida and represent Jacksonville with that award. And hopefully we come back with the national award.
I wish you the best of luck. Congratulations on you and your family running such a very well-known business in Jacksonville and building such a great reputation for what you guys do. I look forward to talking with you in the future. And again, thank you very much for being a guest.
Thanks, Jesse.
What a fun conversation that was. After I had the conversation with Jason, it really made me start thinking how many people are impacted by the automotive industry here in the United States. Just on the employment side alone, on the manufacturing side of the automobile industry, 1,063,000 people and change work within that sector. On the retail side of it, selling automobiles and automobile parts, over 2,072,000 people work in the automobile sector. It's incredible how many people are employed and how many people make a living on cars, trucks, trailers, everything that you see moving on the road. And I want to thank Jason and his family for doing their part, not only getting people on the road, but also putting America to work. That's going to wrap us up for today. I'll catch you guys next time.